you'll be true. Say that you'll be true. Say that you'll be true and never leave me blue. Susie Q. Say that you'll be mine. Say that you'll be mine. Say that you'll be mine, baby, all the time. Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q. Baby, I love you. Susie Q. Like the way you walk. Like the way you talk. Like the way you walk. Like the way you talk. Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q. Baby, I love you. Susie Q.
Man, Benny, you
Wow.
outdid yourself again, man.
Hey,
Would you think that was-
we have the most interesting man in the world with us, bro. In that picture, he's got that. He just needs that Dos Equis over there, bro.
That's right, man. The most interesting guy in the world. Hey, guys, I know all of you guys are excited. Guys, today we're not going to go around, welcome everybody. We welcome you for watching the show because we want to get into this show. It's going to be a 2-hour show. Without a doubt, we are honored to have this legend. And Benny, thank you. That's why you're the producer. You were able to get him all the way from Thailand. You're the guy that every week I kill your name. I call you Jim Dagenais, and your real name is Dagenais. You guys just told me right now. And 1 week you're working Peiican Bay for 12 years, another week 17 years, another week 20 years. But brother, now today you're going to tell us exactly, man. You know what? We are honored. But guys, before we go on, I just want to give a quick shout out. Both Jim and I want to do a quick shout out to a legend with San Diego, with the California Department of Corrections SSU unit. We had former CDCR Senior Special Agent Cindy Nelson Tai. Both Jim and I had the opportunity, and I saw right now Gabe Hernandez from Donovan, Lieutenant Hernandez, just retired. We all had the privilege of working with Cindy. Cindy did outstanding work in San Diego, as well as Ben Eason, Steve Contreras, and so many other great SSU agents that we had. Cindy, we wish you a great retirement. Jim, any words for Cindy? I know she's watching because she said she was going to watch.
Yeah, Cindy, it's really nice to see you again. And I loved working with you, and that was really a good case we worked together. So, and I like watching seeing her photos in Greece. So she's leading a good life.
Beautiful. You know what? She's as beautiful as ever. She was a beautiful SSU agent, and you know what? Thank you for your service, sister. But guys, with that said, I'm excited. We're all excited. Benny, it's all yours, brother.
Well, guys, it only took us 2 years to get him on. A lot of begging, a lot of asking, a lot of calls at 3 a.m. because time change. It's daylight for him and it's 3 o'clock for us here. So finally we got Jim. So thank you so much, Jim, for showing up. We're thrilled to welcome Jim Dagenais to the show. Jim's illustrious career began back in 1989 at the California Correctional Center in Susanville, eventually leading him to the infamous Peiican Bay State Prison. With firsthand experience from inside one of California's most notorious prisons, Jim brings a wealth of information, knowledge to our discussion here today. Jim's expertise is highlighted by his roles on the security squad and as a special agent with the Del Norte Interagency Narcotics Task Force. We didn't know that either. Showcasing his skill and handling violent criminal acts and overseeing some of the state's most dangerous inmates. Jim, we are so thrilled to have you here today. Welcome to the podcast, brother, and we're eagerly awaiting to hear about you and your stories, man. Thank you for being here again.
It's really an honor being here, and I appreciate this. So,
Hey Jim, before we start, I'm going to give you my number. In 12 hours from now, can you send me the winning lotto numbers? Because you're a day ahead. So we should have the winning lotto numbers, brother. I'll split it half and half with you, man.
Charlo, I wonder how that works.
I just have to say that, bro. It's been eating me up, bro. And it's Jim Dagenais, guys.
Dagenais. I've been killing it, bro.
So Dagenais. So all right. Sorry, Benny. Ruined it for you.
When we had Ayers, I was watching Ayers the way he said it, and he said Dagenais. When we had the warden. But anyway, whatever it is, thanks for being on the show, Jim.
Teach us how
to. So,
say
Jim, tell us about who you are, man. Tell us about your upbringing, your dreams, joining the armed forces, becoming a correctional officer, and then going to Afghanistan.
Actually, I grew up on the south side of Chicago and northwest Indiana, and my earliest memory in Chicago is the first apartment we stayed in. It was up above a very busy and loud tavern, and we had a 2-room apartment there, and there was one bathroom for every floor. And we didn't have a refrigerator in there. We had an ice box where the iceman would come and deliver ice. And anyway, I remember I was about 4 years old, and my dad went to the front door to go to work, and he opened the door, and there was a guy laying on the threshold of the door. So I saw him go back, close the door, go back and get his gun. And he went back there, opened the door, and he stuck the barrel of that gun in that guy's mouth. And I don't know what he said, but he said something to him. He was the only one talking. The guy that had the gun in his mouth never said anything, but we never saw him again. And we never saw anyone else up there either. Well, anyway, from there, we moved 2 times, and we ended up being in the neighborhood that my mom and dad had grown up in. And it was 63rd and Stony Island. And it was like a really good place for a kid to grow up at that time. This is in the 40s. And they still had the streetcars running up and down 63rd Street. They had Jackson Park there. That was a paradise for kids with these swing sets and, of course, monkey bars. 63rd Street Beach was right there. My buddies and I, we would that's where we'd hang out in the summertime, Lake Michigan, and we'd hang out at the Museum of Science and Industry. They had the Tower Theater it was right there on 63rd Street, and they would have these 100 cartoon matinees. And I think it cost about 18 cents back then to get in the theater. And at the movies, it was pandemonium in there with all the kids. And I remember the neighborhood. I remember on the corner, there was an Italian guy that had a music box, and he had a little monkey with a cup that would collect coins from people walking by. And many of the shop owners were immigrants that had come from Germany, Italy, all over the world. And we lived in a short distance away from 63rd Street. We were on 64th Street, and we lived in an older apartment building, a 3-story building, brick building. And this is when they had the old wooden porches on the back of the buildings. And right across the alley from us was the elevated train. And it ran at the same elevation as an apartment. So when the train came through, the building would vibrate. So anyway, we're living there, and I remember the building had trouble with a lot of rats. And what happened is rats actually ate a hole in the wall in the kitchen, and they started coming through the kitchen wall. And my dad, I remember him, he got a pellet gun, and he was shooting rats in the kitchen. They would peer out to see who was coming, and he'd shoot them. And anyway, the neighborhood started changing. And I remember one night I was standing there in the kitchen. I was probably about, I guess about 9 years old when this happened. And I was standing in the kitchen with my mother, and 3 black guys were trying to come through the kitchen door. And the reason I knew who was coming through the kitchen door is it was a glass pane on top of the door. And I wasn't the least bit concerned about it because my dad was in the bedroom getting his gun. And I was standing there waiting for the action. And he came running down that hallway in his skivvies and came around the corner and pointed that gun at those guys. And evidently they didn't bring a gun to this party because their eyes looked like saucers, and they were running into each other trying to get off that porch. And I could hear them running all the way down the stairs, 3 flights of stairs, wooden stairs. And anyway, it wasn't long after that, my dad told us, we got to leave. And he said, we're going to go to Indiana. And I thought, oh, I couldn't believe it. You know, I was going to leave all my buddies, but I didn't know it at the time. They had to leave too. Everyone had to move because this neighborhood is where the Peastone Nation and the Blackstone Rangers originated from. But anyway, we ended up moving to Hammond, Indiana, a short distance from Chicago, and then to this little town, Hobart, Indiana, which is just south of Gary, and that's where I went to high school. And I graduated at actually by the skin of my teeth. I don't know why, but I was a behavioral problem all through my childhood. When I started kindergarten, I excelled in kindergarten, and actually I knew how to tie my shoes. I knew the alphabet, and I could even read Dick and Jane kids books back then. And I remember kids being in my class that didn't even know how to tie their shoes. Anyway, I excelled in kindergarten, but from first grade on, it was downhill. And to this day, I don't know what my malfunction was, but I was a problem to teachers. And anyway, I get out of high school, and I joined the Marine Corps. And actually, that's one of the smartest decisions I've ever made And one of the dumbest ones was when I got out of the Marine Corps. I should have never got out of the Marine Corps. But I was in the Marines for about 3 weeks before they identified me as being a problem. And what happened was our first inspection, 3rd week inspection, and I had a captain asking me questions, and the drill instructor is standing there right next to him with a clipboard, and he asked me my general orders, and you were supposed to memorize them. Well, I didn't do that. And anyway, when the inspection was over, the drill instructors, they called me to the duty hut. So I reported to the duty hut, and it was a screen door there. I could see the drill instructors inside the Quonset hut. And I knocked on the side of the door where you're supposed to knock. And of course, they couldn't hear me. That's what they said. We can't hear you. And I knocked there until my fingers were bleeding. And then when I got in that office, those guys threw me up against the wall locker and started working me over. There were no headshots, just punching me in the body. And they did that to get your attention. The thing is, when I was in high school, I had boxed in an outside club, and they used to make us lay on the concrete floor and drop medicine balls on our stomach so they could hit me all day long. It wouldn't bother me. But anyway, they told me, they said, you're going to have to march behind the platoon because you're a shitbird. So I endured this for about 2 hours. And finally, I went back to the drill instructors, and I knocked on the door, and we went through the same procedure. You know, they can't hear you. And I entered the duty hut, and I told them, I said it'd never happen again. And I apologized. And I told them, I said, give me a second chance. And from there, I shot the highest score in the rifle range and made PFC out of boot camp. Only 10% could make PFC out of boot camp, and I made PFC out of boot camp. Anyway, I liked the Marine Corps. And the first thing they did, they sent us to Okinawa. And on the way to Okinawa, we stopped in Japan. And what a incredible time to be in Japan in the early 60s. And Okinawa, it was a paradise. Anyway, I did 2 tours on Okinawa. And the first tour, I thought I would ship over and make a career out of it. But somewhere along the line, I got the idea in my head I wanted to be a merchant seaman because we spent a lot of time in Japan, and I had spent a lot of time on Yokohama, and I ran into a lot of merchant seamen, and I thought what a job that would be to work on ships and to visit exotic ports all over the world. But anyway, during my tenure in Okinawa, all we did was train for Vietnam. Spent a lot of time in the Philippines training for that war, and we trained in Korea, cold weather training, because we thought we were going to fight the North Koreans, and we trained to fight the Chinese in Formosa, which is now Taiwan. And anyway, Vietnam never broke out while I was there. So I got out of the Marine Corps because I had this thought in my head about being a merchant seaman. So I went home, and my dad asked me what I was going to do. And he said, no, don't do that. He said, I'm going to get you on as an iron worker. And I thought to myself, that's about the last thing I want to do because I was afraid of heights. And I knew they didn't call these guys cowboys of the sky for nothing, right? And back then it was rare to tie off. So when you worked on the iron, most of the time you weren't tied off. And the only thing between you and the ground was fear and atmosphere. And anyway, I thought I'd give it a try. So I go out on a job, but they sent me out as an apprentice. So I thought, well, I'm not going to have to go up in the air right away. Well, the foreman came up to me right before starting time, and he said, "You afraid of heights?" I said, "I'm afraid of nothing." And well, that was a lie. My knees were shaking. And I told him, actually told me, he said, "You don't have to worry about being an apprentice." He said, "We're going to make an iron worker out of you." He said, "All you got to do is go up there and do what those guys tell you to do. And we're going to you're going to make iron worker scale." And that's what they did. And the whole time I was on my way up there, I was praying to myself, to God, to help me. I did not want to go up there. Anyway, that was the scariest times I've ever had. I've never felt fear like that in my life. But anyway, to make a long story short, it took about 5 weeks to get used to being high up and walking iron. And then a strange thing happens. You get an adrenaline rush from it, and then you get addicted to it. So I ended up being an iron worker for 25 years. Wow. And it was during the biggest boom period in the history of Northwest Indiana. They produced more steel there than any country in the world during that time that I worked there. And anyway, it was an incredible career. And once I got out of apprentice school, though, I saw where the Chicago police were hiring. And I thought, well, gee, this would be good. So I applied to them, and I was accepted. Except they weren't going to do the background for at least a month. So a friend of mine and myself, we went down to Mexico for a month, and took us 2 days to get to the border. We go spend the night in Durango, up in the mountains, and then down to Mazatlan on the coast, and then we were on the way to Puerto Vallarta. That's where I wanted to go. And on the way, we saw this sign, San Blas Nayarit, and we drove down this windy jungle road. It took about 45 minutes to get to the San Blas, and it was just a fishing village. And I met these Australians there, and make a long story short, I ended up spending 3 months there. And I thought, I loved it. I thought, what a life this would be, work as an iron worker and spend my winters in Mexico. So I went back, and I declined the offer to go on the Chicago PD. I just stuck with the iron workers. And for 8 years in a row, I spent anywhere from 3 to 5 months a year in Mexico, Central America, South America, in the Caribbean. It was just incredible. But over the years, the bottom fell out of the steel industry, and work got slow. And I ended up having an opportunity to go to the Nevada test site as an iron worker. So I went there, and I spent 10 years there. And it was the best iron worker job you could ever dream of having. And I ran into a lot of test pilots there. And for 8 years in a row, I used to ask those guys, different pilots, if they'd take me up in a jet. And the base commander would never allow that to happen because of the liability. But eventually, they realized I was leaving, and I was going to go to the Department of Corrections. And so a test pilot took me up in a T-38 jet and let me fly it. And the reason he let me fly it is he had asked me if I knew how to fly. Well, prior to this, I had flown a Piper Cub a couple times, and there was a teacher that worked with my wife. She was a teacher, and he had a Piper Cub that he would take us up on the weekends in. And what we didn't know is he was going blind, and he would have me fly it. And when we finally realized this, we were coming in for a landing at McCarran Airport, and he's on the tower talking to the tower, and they're telling him which runway to use. And he asked me, "Do you see the runway?" And I started thinking, what do you mean? Do I see the runway? Yeah. So I could see it, but he couldn't see it. So we're coming in for a landing, and he's telling me what to do. And I'm slowing the plane down, and we're getting ready to land. My wife is in the back seat. And she's saying, Bobby, she said, don't you want to take the controls? And he said, no, Jim's doing okay. And I'm thinking, I'm not doing okay. I don't know how to land this plane. And I'm coming in for a landing, and we're coming close, right? We're almost ready there. He takes the controls, and I thought, I can't believe this. And then he fessed up. He said he was losing his eyesight, and that's why he was having me fly the plane. So that was the last time we flew with him. And so anyway, getting back to the pilot, I told him, I said, yeah, I fly all the time. And he said, take the controls. So I'm paying attention, and he's got the stick there, and the throttle's on the left-hand side. And he told me, he said, roll it. I thought, oh boy, how do you do that? And he said, just take the stick to the left or right, and it'll come right around. So I rolled the plane, and then he told me, he said, push the throttle in. So I push it in. He said, no, all the way in. I pushed the throttle all the way in. The afterburners kick in, and I'm sucked back into my seat. I'm holding this stick, and all the gauges on this fighter plane, I didn't know what they were except for one. They shows whether you're going up, down, sideways. So I watched that, and so I was flying it straight, and then he told me to roll it. At Mach 1, I rolled that jet, and I got so excited. I said, can I take it straight up? He said, you do anything you want. I pulled that stick back, and I went straight up like it was in a rocket ship, and came up upside down and back down and started flying that jet. And I thought, if I hadn't been such an idiot in high school, I could have been a fighter pilot. And anyway, and getting back to before I went to the academy, it was like a week late. Yeah.
Hey, Jim, before we go to the academy, tell us about Area 51. I know all your life stories because I look at all your videos, and at the end, we're going to talk about that. But everybody thinks there's Martians there, that there's spaceships. Tell us what's really, you worked there for 7 years, and you went all over Area 51. Tell us about that. How real are those stories?
You know what, David? I called him one night. I was bored at 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, Jim, I tried to get it out of him. What's on Area 51? He said, Benny, go to sleep. There ain't no aliens there.
Exactly. Tell us.
The only aliens there are the ones that jump the fence and go work to clean that place up, bro.
This is the truth. I'd feel bad about saying anything about what I saw in Area 51. But I'll tell you what isn't there. For one thing, that was the most interesting place I've ever worked. It was just incredible. All those people that say that they worked on spaceships, there's aliens there, they're talking out of their wazoo. They're making this stuff up. There's no underground nothing, and I know what I'm talking about there. And these people are people that say they've been there, they've never been there. And I would never disclose what I saw there, but I never saw any aliens. And it was a wonderful place to work. And, it's funny. The reason I got into corrections is I was afraid that job was going to end. And I'd already been an iron worker for over 20 years. And I didn't want to go back on the outside as an iron worker anymore. So I started testing for Las Vegas PD. And the psychologist there, he told me, he said, your personality type doesn't do well as a police officer or a correctional officer. He said, you'd be too aggressive. He said, you don't take orders well. And it's a problem, for your supervisors. And I knew I never met a psychologist that didn't need one. And this guy was no exception. And anyway, I was hitting a brick wall, and a cop I got to know that worked for Las Vegas PD. He told me, he said, go to California. He said, this is a big department. There's all kinds of promotional opportunities there. So I looked it up, and sure enough, he knew what he was talking about. And while I'm mulling this over, I read this article in the Las Vegas paper that said they're going to build this prison. They're building this prison, Pelican Bay State Prison, and it's going to house California's most dangerous prisoners. And I almost fell out of my seat. I told my wife, I said, this is where I'm going to go, right here. So I applied to California, and by this time I could administer one of those tests. So I had no problem getting on, and they even had gave me a psychological exam because they thought, well, this guy kept getting turned down over a psych exam, but they said I was fit for duty, So anyway, I started my career in the California Correctional Center in Susanville, and I worked all three levels, level 1, 2, and 3 inmates, and I worked first, second, third watch. I spent 10 months there until I ran into this lieutenant that knew a lot of people in Pelican Bay, and he said, you want to go to Pelican Bay? I get you there. And he did. And he was very instrumental in getting me transferred to Pelican Bay. So I showed up in July of 90. And in July of 90, they were still accepting, they were still bringing in inmates from other institutions. And what was really interesting about this, Pelican Bay had over 3,000 inmates in there. And the people in Sacramento, they had contacted all the prisons, and they told their wardens to send all their problem inmates, any of the killers, people that want to harm others and harm themselves, lunatics, whatever you got that you can't handle, send them to Pelican Bay. And that's what they did. And they all showed up in Pelican Bay. I've never seen such an assortment of characters. And when I first got there, you know what I thought? This is like a cross between a dangerous penitentiary and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'd never seen anything like this. And I started out as a relief gunner in gun positions, and then they gave me they put me in charge of B8 on B Yard, and that was a very unique building because they housed a group of inmates that they weren't fit to go on the main line yet, and what they had to do is they had to go to a concrete yard for X number of months, and if they could go to that concrete yard without hurting somebody or hurting themselves, they would allow them to go to the main line, B Yard, and lift weights and join other inmates stabbing each other. So anyway, so it was a very interesting building to work in. I hadn't been there very long, and there was this one inmate there that he was known as Alphabet Bomber in California. And he was an aerospace engineer that evidently lost his marbles, and he was running loose in LA, killing people, blowing them up. And anyway, he ended up in Pelican Bay, and he ended up in B8 where I was at. So I was still new, I had less than a year in the department. And he told the control booth officer, he said, I want to talk to this guy that's running this building. And so he asked me, he said, you want to talk to this guy? I said, yeah, send him down. So the Alphabet Bomber comes down to my office, and he tells me, he said, I just want to let you know, you're not fooling anybody. He said, I know who you are. And I said, well, who am I? He said, well, you're either FBI or CIA, but you're not a a prison guard because, and this is no offense to prison guards out there, he said, you're much too intelligent to be a prison guard. And so anyway, I thought, I tried to convince him. I said, no, I'm a correctional officer. And anyway, he left and he didn't believe me. And I thought, this guy's going to blow up my office. He had the ability to make a bomb out of anything. So I started doing a lot of cell searches with him to make sure he wasn't storing up any bomb making equipment where he could blow up my office. Anyway, it was about a month later, he came down and he actually apologized. He said, I believe you. He said, yeah, you are correct. You're not with the CIA or FBI. And so I knew I didn't have to worry about him blowing my office up again. So a couple of other characters that were in this building. I remember there was two heavy-duty gang members. They were in B section on the top tier, and one of them, the knife that he had in his anal cavity turned sideways on him, and he was experiencing a lot of pain. And so they had an ambulance take him out to the hospital, the Southern Coast. And because of the knife was sideways, they had to put the jaws of life on him to spread his cheeks apart, get the knife out. And anyway, the next morning, I told his cellie, I said, your cellmate just gave birth to a 6-inch knife, and we think you're the father. And anyway, he thought that was pretty funny, and eventually he came back to the building. And I remember
was he carrying the baby in?
No, they had to turn it in. So,
Hey, Jim. So when the guy got back from the hospital to the prison, did you tell him not to go sideways on you again because it was kind of
I didn't have to. They were real serious guys. Both of them were real serious. Very respectful, though. Very respectful. It was just an interesting group of inmates in there. And then there was one guy that he was a black guy. He was in C-section. And when I talked to him, he spoke normal. But this guy wasn't in his right mind. Anyway, when he was out on the yard, you're required to do cell searches. So I go into his cell to search his cell, and I was overcome by a odor that smelled like feces, and he was making poop ponies on his table. He was making sculptures out of his feces, and he had feces on the wall. And I back out of the cell. I thought, oh no, this is not going to happen. So I waited till he came back off the yard, and I called this guy down to my office, and I said, this is going to stop right now. I said, I want you to get a bucket with some disinfectant and soap, and I want you to clean that cell up, and you will never, ever do this again to me. And I said, and if you do, I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the goon squad come over here and take you down into the basement. And I'll tell you something. Some guys don't come back from that basement. And, of course, there was no goon squad that was going to beat them up. We didn't have a basement. But I make this story up. And because I was older and I was serious, he believed me. And then he told me, he said, okay. He said, I won't do that anymore. He said, the only thing is sometimes I get the urge to put it in my hair. I said, no. Do not do that. I said, if you get that urge, use peanut butter. And how stupid, anyway, periodically, this guy would show up with peanut butter on these spikes on his head. He was a tall black guy. He looked like something out of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but he stopped doing the poop. And so anyway, that was interesting. And, the whole time I was I got to Pelican Bay, I really wanted to be a part of the investigative unit because we had incidents there all the time. We were having something like 850 to 900 incidents a year, and half of those were violent. And of course, you'd see the investigators that show up, take photos, collect evidence, and everything. And I thought, they investigate murders, suicides, they do narcotic interdiction. It's really a busy job that they have, and I really wanted to do that. The only problem is there were 900 officers inside Pelican Bay, and only 8 people on the security squad, which was the investigative unit. But I didn't let that deter me. And what I did is I started going to night school when I was in Las Vegas. I went to UNLV, community college, taking criminal justice classes. I did the same thing in Susanville, and I signed up for them in College of the Redwoods in Crescent City, and because I wanted to get a degree in criminal justice. And I joined Brookings Police Department as a reserve police officer because I wanted to learn how they operate on the street. And I wanted to learn as much as I could about criminal justice, about law enforcement. And I set myself to every seminar I could find. And there were a couple of them that were in Las Vegas. So I even went back to Las Vegas on my days off, and they had what they call a police survival classes, and I took those. And anyway, over the years, I really took my time and studied the criminal ways of the convicts, and we had the most sophisticated criminals you could ask for. Pelican Bay was like a criminal university. That's exactly what it was like to me. People didn't come there to rehabilitate themselves. They came there to hone their criminal skills. So I really paid attention how they made weapons. These guys can make weapons out of nothing. And
you know what, Jim? Let me play this video real quick so we could show how they make their weapons.
The state is required to
Yeah.
do them. Here in this prison video, an inmate demonstrates how he constructed a crossbow out of elastic from his underwear, writing paper rolled tightly, and a plastic spoon sharpened into a lethal point. It's made specifically to be fired through the mesh door. Pelican Bay's Jim Dagenais showed us a display of prison-made weapons.
Since August of 2002, we've confiscated about 1,258 weapons.
Well, show us some of the more incredible ones, because they all look incredible to me.
Inside of a shoe cell, they have the metal frame door, the embedded metal. This here was cut right out of the door, and this is a real recent discovery. The particular inmate that did this, he makes one of these about once a month.
I hear that some of these guys can actually make handcuff keys.
Oh, in the security housing unit, only gang members know how to make handcuff keys. This particular handcuff key here,
Look at that.
this was manufactured from an inhaler, just the metal part of an inhaler, and they shaped it into a handcuff key.
And that would unlock
Oh,
a hand.
definitely.
Wow, Jim, you look younger there. You look younger today than you did there.
well, you know what happens when you get at a certain age? It's sort of like a mummy. You look at a 200-year mummy and a 2,000-year mummy. So anyway, this is really a funny story about that interview. And I had, by the time Leslie Stahl came to Pelican Bay, I had already been on MSNBC, Lockup Series twice. I was on the History Channel. I was on a French documentary TV series that they did. I was on Court TV, National Geographic, and then 60 Minutes shows up, and I thought, oh, this is unbelievable. This is my opportunity. And another thing I wanted to do in my life, I wanted to be an actor at some point in time. But anyway, I thought this is going to be a good start, get on these documentaries. And it just so happened that I was in charge of security for Leslie Stahl and the film crew, and I was right there with the public relations officer, Lieutenant Steve Perez, and he was instrumental in getting me on these different programs. So anyway, I asked him. I said, "Is there any way I could talk to Leslie on camera?" And he said, "Yeah, we'll figure it out." So anyway, Leslie agreed to this, and the only thing is, what I thought I was going to do is ask her what she was going to talk about ahead of time, because I didn't want to get blindsided. And the film crew said she doesn't do that. So she was on the other side of the room. The film crew is putting powder on my face for the camera. And she's figuring out what she's going to ask me. And she starts walking across the room, and the camera guys, they're ready. Steve Perez whispers in my ear. He says, "Jim, don't say anything stupid, because whatever you say, they're going to go with it. This is 60 Minutes. This isn't like these other film crews." And I thought, oh, now I'm nervous. I say stupid stuff all the time. I don't know it. And anyway, it was unbelievable. Anyway, I didn't mess up on that. But a funny backstory is we go through the whole prison, and they do the filming, and she talks to the inmates, and it's time for her to leave, and a taxi is waiting for her. So I take Leslie and her executive producer in the squad car, take them to the front of the building, and I park right in front of, at that time was Warden Kirkland's office, and I parked the vehicle and take Leslie to the cab. So she's on the way to New York City. And the executive producer, I open the door for her. She gets in the car, and I go around to the driver's side. And when I did that, we were having so many riots and stabbings that I got in a bad habit of not putting a pin in my MK9 gas dispenser. So there's no pin in there. And when I got in the car, the trigger hit the seatbelt and discharged gas right in front of this lady's face. I mean, I came, if it would have been just a little bit further, I'd have hit her in the face. And so I thought, I cannot believe this happened to me. And this is in front of the warden's office. So I told her to get out of the car. I get her out of the car right away. And she said, what happened? And so I'm trying to explain to her. The whole time I'm looking at the warden. I see the back of his head. I'm praying he doesn't turn around and see this. So I'm trying to air the vehicle out. And so anyway, she said, no problem. She said, it's okay. And so I get her to air it out. And well, I got Steve, you know. And so I get her back in the car. We go back, and I tell the public relations officer, Steve, what just happened. He's rolling his eyes. And of course, he's got to tell the warden. And fortunately, they never called me in or anything like that. But, you know, it was about a month later, a letter came down from headquarters saying that it's really important for people to keep their pins in their MK9s and not run around without them, you know. And
oh my God, that's hilarious.
I always suspected that Leslie probably hit the ceiling when the executive producer told her what this guy did.
And that is a hilarious story. Hey, Jim, you know what? Before we forget, we have a question from one of our faithful listeners, Grant, who's a journalist. We're going to have you on pretty soon. Who was the most notorious weapons maker in Peiican Bay when you were there? Was there one individual that comes to mind?
You know, I can't pin that on one guy. We had so many skilled weapons makers It was mind-boggling. And you know, in that film, where I show that one weapon, it's a really good thick weapon. That was cut. That was made by a guy in the security housing unit, and he cut it out of his embeds. And the embeds is what they weld the door frame to, and so forth. And you know something? This is how they do it. Now, this here is a paperclip, right? Although this is a big one, they make them much smaller. And all the offices in the CDC or any other prison, they have these paper clips like this. And what the black stuff is spring steel. The embeds are mild steel. And if you take these and break it into a couple pieces, you can take that and you could scribe that on a metal embed and eventually cut a weapon the size that you want out of that embed and go under your bunk and hone it down on the concrete and then wrap a sheet around it. But we had that one guy was an excellent weapons maker. We had so many like that, though. It was like it was absolutely unbelievable, and they can make weapons out of nothing.
Hey Jim, So we'll have David play the video now because we're getting into the riot part, you know, because
Yeah.
been making and stuff like that. Hey David, play that video that you have.
Okay, here we go.
Is a constant threat amongst the gangs, and when it happens, no one can stay out of the fray. February 23rd, 2000, California's Pelican Bay facility. As if on a signal, the yard erupts. 9:38 a.m. Hispanic gangs attack a rival African-American gang. 200 inmates plunge into a bloody battle. From steel batons. Officers fired tear gas and rubber bullets into the crowds, with little effect. The riot lasts half an hour. When it's over, 15 inmates have been shot. One is dead. And an astonishing 89 knives are confiscated. For 30 minutes, a maximum security prison suffered an explosion of violence, but it was contained. The prison did its job.
This is really interesting. I was in that riot from start to finish, and we thought that something like this was going to happen for, I think it was about a year. There was some kind of disrespect issue that came up between a black inmate, a Hispanic inmate, and it never got resolved. And we kept hearing rumors over the months that there's going to be a problem. And, you know, like one thing about the Southern Mexican gang members, they have a saying, revenge is best served cold. And this is a very good example of that. Anyway, of course, I was on a security squad when this happened. And we went out. We didn't know that it was going to kick off on that morning. We were finding a lot of weapons during the week. And we thought something's going to happen, but we don't know when. And we don't know what. So we went out to the yard, the security squad did, and I noticed that, it was a big yard, bigger than normal. And I saw where there was at least 2 inmates that were caught in the pat downs with weapons on them. And, you know, sometimes they find weapons when they let the yard out, but not 2 guys like that back to back. That's kind of unusual. And the partner that I was working with, we decided, well, rather than stand out there in the rain, I thought, let's go into a building. We went into B5, I think it was, And we went into a cell. And first I asked the control booth officer, I said, who's left in the building? And he said, nobody. They never do that. You go into a building, there's always someone left to hold weapons or whatever they're doing, but no, there's never a time when everyone goes to the yard. So that was an indication something was wrong. And we started talking about this, and we didn't take our gear off to search the cell because we're thinking something's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, we heard the yard. It went down. And when they yelled for the yard down, that's when the gunfire started. And we started running down the stairs out into the rotunda where we could go out the door. As we're running down those stairs, we could hear gunners, the control booths from other buildings yelling, get down, get down. And the gunfire was unbelievable. They were shooting from 8 buildings. They were shooting from the gun tower. And what they were firing, first they fire the gas, the rubber rounds, and they were shooting the minis. You can hear the minis going off when we were running down the stairs. So we knew this is it. And when I looked out that door, there were probably 300 convicts on that yard, and at least 100 of them would have had weapons. And when I looked at that yard, the entire yard was engulfed in gas. Inmates are running in every different direction. And we yelled for the control booth officer to open the door so we could go out in the yard. And I was thinking to myself, out of all the places on this planet that I would like to be, that yard is probably at the bottom of the list. And we went out there on that yard, and it was like I seen a lot of other riots there a lot of what they call melees. They look like riots to me. A lot of mass violence there. Never did I ever see anything like this. And at first, you're a little concerned you're going to get stabbed. You don't know what they're going to do. But I was more concerned about getting shot because you got gunners in 8 buildings firing into that yard, and the gunner on the gun post at the yard gun, he's shooting in the yard. Those mini 14s, they ricochet. And I go to the yard, I go to the range with these guys every 3 months, and sometimes you see people miss a paper target. It's not moving, and you never know who's shooting. So anyway, and this was a high stress environment. And these inmates, they would get up and they'd get down. They'd get up and get down. The whole time we went through our MK9s, we emptied them. We started using our baton. It was you couldn't stop these guys. Anyway, it was the longest. I think it was about the longest half hour I've ever had to spend doing anything. And another thing I couldn't help notice during the riot, I looked up on the roof next to the tower gunner, and I saw some officers running down the roof with mini 14. And I don't know, I don't remember how many, and I don't even know if they actually shot from the roof. But I saw those guys run down the roof, and they went in the prone position and pointed their rifles into the yard. And I haven't got time to worry about watching these guys. I don't know what they did or what they didn't do. But the whole time this is going on. And anyway, I ended up taking the majority of the crime scene photos there, both on the yard and at the hospital, because there's a lot of people that were shot and stabbed. And we recovered 89 weapons, but we knew we missed a lot of them. A lot of them went back into the buildings because we were trying to clear the yard to get them back in there so we could deal with the injured inmates. And anyway, it was just an unbelievable experience. It's just, Yeah, it was interesting.
Hey Jim,
And
who was the warden back then?
that was Mr. Ayers. And yeah, sure, it was Mr. Ayers. And he, like I said, he was a outstanding warden. And one thing about we had good wardens. I can't think of one warden that we didn't have that wasn't really outstanding. But Mr. Ayers stood out above the rest because one thing he would do, he would go to A yard, B yard, he'd go down the shoe. He was always talking to the officers. If you had a problem, you wanted to know something, you could talk to him. Uh, no one else ever did that, and I was always impressed with Mr. Ayers. He had, he came from a CO all the way to being a warden of Pelican Bay State Prison. I mean, what a incredible achievement that was. And yeah, that was really interesting. And what else did you want to ask me?
Hey, Jim. So now you're in the security squad.
Yeah,
Let's start from there. Now you're in. Let me put this picture up. Out of 900 officers, only 8 make it, and it took
Yeah.
you 10 years to get in the security squad. And you were in the security squad for 7 years, and then
Yes.
you retired, went to Afghanistan. But during those 7 years, out of 900, only 7 of the elite were there. This
8.
is you right here with your team.
Yeah.
Tell us about them.
I'll tell you what, it's hard to see these guys, but
Cream of the crop.
Robert Marquez, he was lieutenant at the time. He was standing right next to me. Oh, and this is interesting in this photo. You see a guy in civilian clothes. He's an Australian. And this is really interesting. We had an Australian correction officer visit Pelican Bay, and he came to our office, and I got his contact information because I always wanted to go to Australia. And when he got back to Australia, I contacted him, and we exchanged emails for a while. And I said, ask your warden, and they call them general managers down there. I said, ask him if you'd be interested in me coming down there and talking to their correctional officers. And he asked them, and they invited me to go to their prison in Toowoomba, Australia, to speak to their correctional staff. And I thought, wow, what an honor. So I get a plane, and my wife and I, we go down there, and they allowed us to speak in front of their officers. And Greg Stevenson, he was the general manager, outstanding person. He had been with their corrections for years and years, had unbelievable experience. And he was the one that was responsible for allowing me to speak to his officers. And I'm telling them how they get drugs smuggled into Pelican Bay. It's the same thing with them, except when I got to the part about the meth-soaked postcards, I saw everyone perk up. They never heard of those. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. They got biker gangs down there. They got Hell's Angels. I know they know how to do this. And I explained to them how they make these meth cards, and they're almost undetectable. But when I did that, it was about a month later, they started finding them in the mailroom. And I felt really good about that. But that was quite an experience. But anyway, getting back to having Howard in that photo, I asked the warden, I said, is there any way that we can allow this guy to work with the security squad for 1 week? And they actually gave me permission to allow Howard Wenham to work with the security squad for a week. And I thought, this is unbelievable. The only stipulation was he said he's not to be on any reports. So they don't want him doing anything. And I thought, oh boy, that's going to be a tough one. But anyway, I said, yeah, okay, that's good. And during that week, we actually had a death in custody. And one of the things we would do, we would attend the autopsies. And so I was able to take him to an autopsy. And I can't recall if it was a murder or suicide. I just don't remember. But it was an inmate that had died in Pelican Bay. And so I was able to take Howard to the autopsies and or that particular autopsy. And we made it through the whole week. And he got to do a lot of trick stuff. I showed him how we intercept disguised legal mail, drugs in the mail. And it was real informative for him. And it was a great experience. So,
Hey, Jim, did you ever work with Devin Hawks or go to any of
Yes.
his debriefs?
Oh, absolutely. Devin Hawks, that guy's a legend. He's he had the name Rain Man. And this guy, he had an incredible memory. His memory is as good as mine is bad. And this guy, I bet he could recite the Dom in English and Spanish verbatim. That's what I mean. This guy, he could remember everything and anything. Outstanding correctional officer. Of course, he was a consular by that time. He was, I think he was running the gang unit. He had something to do with the gang unit down in security housing unit. And they made an incredible impact on the gangs down there as a team. Really great bunch of guys. And, you know, it was really difficult getting on that security squad. I had 3 interviews before I was accepted. And you have to learn a lot, and you have to learn it quickly. And it was, to start out, it was a little overwhelming. And one of the things they made us do is when you're new, you respond to all the incidents, no matter what it is. And you're going to keep doing this until you can do them by yourself. And of course, you testify in court and so forth. Well, anyway, I was, I think I'd been on a month or 2, something like that. And I responded to an alarm on A Yard. And when I got out there were probably about 200 convicts on the yard, and they're all on their bellies. And there was 2 convicts that were handcuffed, and they were handcuffed behind their back, and they were both laying down on their stomachs. And what the district attorney wanted us to do at the time is leave the weapons in place, take the photos of them, the weapons, and the inmate at the same time, and then, of course, secure the weapons. Well, anyway, I could see who the aggressor was right away. He had a weapon right next to him, a metal weapon. And I started my photos with him. And I either took 1 or 2 photos. And in my viewfinder, I saw some really fast movement. I couldn't tell what it was until I put my camera down. And when I put my camera down, this guy had slipped his cuffs, grabbed that weapon, and I believe he had already rolled over one time. His victim is about 10 feet away from him, maybe 12 feet. And I know if he rolls over there, he can clear that distance in a couple of seconds. He's going to kill this guy because the knife he's got is a metal knife. It's not a plastic knife. It's a metal knife. And so I'm standing right in front of him. Now, you got 2 seconds to figure out what you're going to do. And so I don't remember if we had gas then. I don't think we had the MK9s at that time. I think all we had was a baton. But I know we had the batons. And you could hit these guys all day long when the adrenaline's running and they're trying to stab somebody, and they're not going to stop until they get done stabbing that guy. These guys are some tough individuals. So in my mind, the only choice I had was to jump on this guy. And I saw opportune time. He was on his stomach. I jumped on his back, and he had the weapon in his right hand. And we were practicing. There was a small group of us that was practicing ground fighting at under Jose Garcia. And we were practicing judo. So we were practicing ground fighting, and I saw exactly what I was going to do. So I seized both of his wrists. That was my plan. And I was going to put my legs inside his legs where he couldn't move. Well, when I jumped down on top of him, my left hand grabbed his wrist. I had a real tight grip. My right hand grabbed his right wrist, and I didn't quite get that grip, and he pulled away from me. And when he pulled away from me, I thought, well, there goes the plan. So I let him go, but I stayed on top of him. I couldn't get off of him. You know, you got to stay with him. So I stayed on top of him so he couldn't roll over and get this guy. And what he did, he reached under his body and he stabbed me in the leg. And when he stabbed me, I got to give him credit. You know, a lot of those guys, when they don't just stab you one time, they'll stab you multiple times. And if he would have done that, eventually he would have hit that femur artery and I'd have bled out on that yard. But he only stabbed me one time. And I first thing I thought about is my femur artery, but he didn't hit that because I didn't feel the blood pumping. It was just blood running down my leg. So anyway, everyone else comes in there. We take the knife away from him and get the cuffs back on him. And the MTA's there, and she says, "Is anyone hurt?" And I said, "Well, I got stabbed." And she said, "Get on this stretcher." I said, "I don't want to get on this stretcher. I wanted to walk to the clinic. You know, I'm standing there in front of 200 convicts. I don't want to get wheeled off on a stretcher." But she said, "You're getting on that stretcher." So I get on the stretcher. They take me to the MTAs. They cut my uniform leg, the uniform. And as soon as she saw it, they called the ambulance to take me to Sutter Coast. So anyway, I get to Sutter Coast, and they clean it up, sew it up, and I went back home. And the only problem is there was a lot of seepage coming through the bandage. And the doctor said, just take a couple of days off. There's no sense in going to the prison. You're going to have this stuff leaking through on your uniform, you know? So I said, okay. So I took a couple of days off. And I think it might've been the second day. I woke up and my leg was all wet and it was swollen. And I looked down and the stitches had broken loose. And when I pressed on the swollen area of my leg, a real ugly pus came out of my leg. And I'm thinking, well, this doesn't look good. So I go back to the doctor and he said, "Oh, you got a really bad infection." So he gave me an antibiotic. He said, "This should clear it up." So I go back home. I take the antibiotic, and the next morning I wake up and it's worse. The leg is swollen more, and there's more pus coming out of my leg. And so I go back, and he gives me a second antibiotic, and he said, take both of them at the same time. So I went back, and I did that. The third day, it's way worse. It's so bad that I'm thinking, am I going to lose my leg? You know, I thought, I can't believe this. So I go to the doctor again. He gives me 3 antibiotics to take at the same time. And he told me, he said, if this doesn't work, I don't know what to do. So I went back, took all 3 of them. And the following day, it actually started clearing up. And in the meantime, I'm getting calls to come back to the prison. And I'm under a lot of pressure. You know, I got my leg, I got pus coming out of my leg. I'm thinking, they're thinking that I'm sandbagging this, you know, that I'm just taking time off, and I don't need to take time off. But I got a problem here. And finally, they bring me, you know, I came back, and I was still, it was still stuff coming through the bandage, even when I came back to the prison. And one thing they did, it was kind of disappointing to me. Some of the supervisors said you should have never done that. And they said you put a lot of people at risk. And anyway, to this day, I think I did the right thing. I did what I thought I should do. And I still think I did the right thing. But anyway.
Hey, Jim, do you think that piece of metal purposely they put some feces or something on it?
Yeah, I'm about 99% sure that he had soaked that weapon in feces and urine, and that was something that they would do on a regular basis. And for that to get infected like that, it had to have been. And that happened to a lot of inmates there. That's what they would do, you know. If it doesn't kill you, it's gonna do a lot of damage. And during the time I was in Pelican Bay, I was in so many of those riots, and I must have responded over the years, hundreds of those stabbing and slashing assaults. I saw 3 inmates die right in front of me. It was really a violent prison. It was interesting. I saw a lot.
Hey, Jim, you know what? We have so much more to cover. I mean, we want to cover Topo Peters, Ricky Cruz. One's going to be real interesting. Cornfed Snyder, and your time in Afghanistan, and other Rene Enriquez. I mean, these guys that you had. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I just asked Benny permission. He said it was okay. We want you to come back. We want you to come back, and we're going to pick up where we left off. You got stabbed. You're back at work, and we're going to go into the Mexican Mafia, Aryan Brotherhood. Oh, I can't wait. But you're definitely and now that we know how to get you on, we had to practice a lot yesterday this morning at 5:00 in the morning my time. So Benny, I know you're feeling, and then but you know what? We're bringing you back. Go ahead, Benny. Do you have anything else to say to Jim?
Yeah, he's got a great story on the Gatorade bottles. I can hardly wait to hear that one.
We'll hear that when he comes back.
Yeah, the smuggling, so Jim, there's so much information. I'll hook up with you, and hopefully we can get you back in 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, hopefully 2 weeks.
Yeah. You know what? It's no problem on the time. I don't go anyplace. my knees are shot out. I can't even get on a plane anymore, so the only thing is, if we could do it at the same time,
same time. We'll do it same time.
I don't have to get up too early, and something, you guys, I love your show. I really, it is beyond an honor to be here, interviewed by you guys. I got so much respect for all of you, and I thank you so much for doing this.
Jim, the honor's ours, man. The honor's ours. I mean, everybody wanted to hear about you and wanted to listen to it.
And I'm not going to screw up the name anymore. It's
Dagenais, bro.
Dagenais. There we go. Hey, Christopher Acosta says hello, Jimbo.
Oh,
Jimbo.
Chris,
he
was an incredible partner. I mean, he's another one. These guys that were on the squad, they all went on to better and things. He ended up being a public relations officer at Pelican Bay. He was a lieutenant. I mean, he had a stellar career, and I think he's retired now too. He was an outstanding officer to work with. We had so much fun together. That whole crew, David Barneyberg, Lloyd, and all those guys. It was just absolutely incredible, the people that I worked with.
Your niece is watching you too right now, Denise Cunningham.
Oh, yeah. That's my niece.
And you know what? Yeah, you may not fly anymore, but you know what? Through these videos, and this is why we created the channel, so legends like you can basically share your legendary stories, and they will live on forever, brother. Hey, man, thank you very much, brother. We love you, and we say that from the bottom of our heart. We got Cocaine Cowboy all the way from the Philippines, same time. And man, there's so many comments. But Chalo, any last words for Jim?
Yes, don't forget, call me in 10 hours to give me the lotto numbers for tomorrow. it's going to be at $1.5 billion by tomorrow. So
We're gonna end up in a cell together.
it's okay. Don't worry about it, man. Hey, we
Hey,
can
brother,
listen,
listen, man.
Hey,
Have
hey,
a-
thanks a lot, Jim. It's
Okay.
an honor, sir. Semper Fi. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your service. Great life, man. I mean, your life is amazing.
That's
It's
right.
amazing.
True legend, man. True legend.
Hey,
Amazing.
you know what, Chalo? We're not even done yet. Wait
that's
till
what
you
I'm
hear
saying.
about
That's it.
Afghanistan, and wait till you hear where he's been since he's been retired. Oh, we talked for 45 minutes and went like 5 minutes earlier today. Jim, we sincerely love you, brother. God bless you. And we'll see you hopefully in 2 weeks if the rapture doesn't come first. God bless
Okay.
you. All right. Thank you. God bless you. Goodbye.
Later, Jim. Later, Jim.
Oh, Benny, thank you from the bottom of my heart, man, for making this happen. To me,
Dude,
this is a dream come true.
David,
Meeting this-
Chalo, it wasn't easy to convince him. He did
Yeah.
not want to do it. It was not easy, man. It took a lot of begging.
Damn, Benny. That's this guy, Benny, bro. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah.
Awesome, Benny.
It was awesome. Hey, Benny, tell us about who we got next week. I got the pictures up.
Well, next week we're gonna, David, you kind of put this one together. You started talking about it, and we said, yeah, why not? Next week we're gonna be hosting a compelling discussion with 3 distinguished experts in gang investigations. Join us. We're gonna be welcoming him, Gabe Morales. As many of you guys know, he's part of Gangsters, Cops, and Politicians. Morales brings a wealth of knowledge regarding gang dynamics and the interactions between criminal entities and law enforcement. Then we got Nelson Agriaga, who's going to be representing the California Gang Investigators Association, CGIA, great association, old time association. He brings, he's at the forefront of tackling gang-related challenges in California. Then we got George Norris, our current president of LGIA, serving as the current president. He continues to lead the efforts to address Latino gang issues on the international scale, man. The International Latino Gang Investigators Association, it's worldwide. So we provide training all over the world. And George Norris is the president, and he runs with it, man. He does great. Both Morales and Argaga played a pivotal role in leading ILGIA during its formative years. See, I wasn't aware of that. Both Morales and Argaga started LGIA.
Yeah, they were the founders. The founders, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So on this session, they're gonna share the insights and the foundation of LGIA and discuss the evolution and current initiatives. So don't miss that. It's 3 great guys.
Hey, Benny, how long have you known Nelson?
Nelson, I only met him maybe 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago at CGIA.
Oh, okay, good.
You know him, Chalo?
No, one of my buddies that works with me, Javier Pacheco, he's a retired ICE and HSI. He was telling me that he knows Pac-Man, and I think he mentioned Nelson Arriaga's name. He said he took these 2 guys to Honduras when he was down there in South America.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Javier Pacheco sends his regards. So next week he sends them, he says, hey, tell those guys to say hi.
You know what, Nelson, a very, very interesting individual, retired detective sergeant with Inglewood PD. Very impressed with him. Very impressed. Yeah. Hey, guys, but you know what? Also tomorrow on Ash Wednesday, we have San Diego PD retired detective sergeant Gary Joust. He was instrumental also in writing that book, Baby Insane and the Buddha. He wasn't the author, but he was working this case. He was probably one of the best detective sergeants that ever worked the black gangs in San Diego, the Crips and the Bloods. When you hear about 2 major cases in San Diego, one called Red Rag and one called Blue Rag, they took not hundreds, but many Crip gang sets down in San Diego. He was a detective sergeant. Tomorrow, he's going to be on with us. And then next week, he's going to bring on one of his informants who is now a pastor, who used to be, I believe, a Crip or a Blood. But this guy is going to come on and talk about how he testified on this pretty high-profile murder case in San Diego. And so, guys, for the next 2 weeks on Ash Wednesday, just like today on the Gray Line, we have some great shows coming up. And also, please do not forget Jim Dagenais has a podcast called Then Dagenais Batman. You could find him, crime fighter. You could find it. Every story that you heard today, you could watch it. It's usually about a 7-minute episode. Outstanding story. He has over 27,000 guys, 27,000 subscribers. Chalo and Benny. He has 27,000 subscribers. It's a great episode. And guys, don't forget, September 30th, 3 more weeks. We got Benny's conference through Iglia. And please click on this. It's going to be at the Palm Springs Police Department. It's going to be, the speakers are going to be outstanding. So hopefully we'll see you there. With that said, let me go ahead and remove this. Chalo, last words, my brother.
Man, talk about a guy that went through so much, man, or this guest we had today, and talk about having integrity, man. Biggest thing, I think one of the reasons why he survived everything he did, even though we all have rough upbringings and we make mistakes, as long as you have integrity, man, you're always going to come up on top.
Benny.
Just tell everybody, just stay safe, man. Just be smart about what you do.
I'll tell you, man, what an outstanding episode. You know what? Like I always say, you know what? Live a purpose-driven life. And you know what? Make every day, make every second count. And remember, you're never too old. You're never too young. And you don't need a badge. You don't need a uniform to make a difference in somebody's life. You know what? Tomorrow, definitely make your buddy call. But if you're at a store and God puts it in your heart to pay for somebody's dinner or pay for somebody's groceries, do it, and they will never know you did it, but God will. Thank you. We will see you tomorrow.
David,
yes.
We got to hear also about how he got the name Batman.
Oh, yes. I can't wait to hear that. Yeah.
There's also a Robin.
Yes, I know. You
right?
told me about that.
That's going to be a good story, guys.
Yeah, can't wait. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.
Outside of this one church town, there's a gold dirt road to a whole lot of nothing. Got a deed to the land, but it ain't my ground. This is God's country. We pray for rain and thank Him when it's falling, 'cause it brings a grain and a little bit of money. We put it back in a plate. I guess that's why they call it God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind, that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. We turn the dirt and work until the week's done. We take a break and break bread on Sunday, then do it all again, 'cause we're proud to be from God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind, that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. God's country. I don't care what my headstone reads or what kind of pine wood box I end up in. When it's my time, lay me 6 feet deep in God's country. I saw